The House on Ballantyne Road. Chapter 1. John Wheeler never believed in ghosts. After his divorce and his mother's death, he decided to move to a quiet town, Granville, Maine. He wanted solitude, a fresh start, and the house at 46 Ballantyne Road seemed perfect. The price was suspiciously low, but the real estate agent had a simple explanation. The house is old. People don't want to bother with repairs. When John moved in, the first thing he noticed was an envelope on the kitchen table. The yellowed paper was neatly labeled, "To the new owner." Inside, there were only a few lines. "If you are reading this letter, it means you bought this house. Congratulations. But I warn you, never fall asleep in the living room after midnight. And if you hear a voice from behind the attic door, do not answer. Just leave. No signature." John smirked, crumpled up the letter, and tossed it into the trash. Typical small-town ghost story. Chapter 2. The First Oddities. The first few days were quiet. John unpacked, started minor renovations, but on the very first night, something felt off. Around 3 a.m., he woke up to a strange scratching sound, like something was dragging across the floorboards. He got up, walked around the house, checked the windows, all locked. But in the living room, the rocking chair by the fireplace was moving on its own. John tried to dismiss it as a draft, but deep inside, he felt a growing unease. Chapter 3. Voices from the Attic. A few days later, he started hearing heavy footsteps moving through the house at night. But on Thursday, something even stranger happened. John was drifting off to sleep when he suddenly heard thud, thud, thud. Footsteps above him, in the attic. But he shouldn't be hearing footsteps up there. There was no solid floor, just wooden beams and dust. He slowly climbed the stairs and stopped in front of the attic door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Like someone clawing at the wood from the inside. And then, a whisper. "John, open the door." Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He turned and rushed back downstairs. Chapter 4. The History of the House. The next morning, John went to the local library. He found old newspaper clippings. The house once belonged to Frank Lancaster, a former sheriff. In 1967, he shot himself in the living room. His suicide note read, "They come at night. They call my name. I can't take it anymore." John felt a chill creep down his spine. Never fall asleep in the living room after midnight. Faster, the living room after midnight. That night, John heard the footsteps again. But this time, he did not go to the attic. He sat in the living room and waited. The clock struck midnight, and suddenly, someone stepped out of the darkness. Frank Lancaster, his tattered sheriff's uniform, the gaping hole in his skull, empty black sockets where his eyes should have been. John froze, paralyzed by terror. "John, come with me." From behind the attic door, a chorus of whispers rose. "We are here. We've been waiting for you." The rocking chair began to move faster. Dust rained down from the ceiling. John bolted for the front door. As he ran outside, he glanced back at the living room window, and he saw them, figures, black, faceless shadows, standing in a circle. Sheriff Lancaster stood in the center, grinning. Chapter 6. The Ending. John sold the house and left for California. He never spoke of that night. A year passed. The house was bought again. A single mother and her 7-year-old son. On their second night, the boy woke his mother up. "Mom, there's someone sitting in the rocking chair in the living room, and they're calling my name."